Hello there and welcome to the Fastmarkets Live Lounge. I'm Georgia Tolley and this series is brought to you by Aquatech. We are here live at the Lithium Supply and Battery Raw Materials Conference in Las Vegas. And today, I'm delighted to say I'm joined by Gary Godwin. He is Vice President of Sustainable Technology Solutions at KBR and also Managing Director of KBR's German entity, which is Kellogg Brown and Root GmbH. Now, Gary leads KBR's global critical minerals businesses and oversees the company's London Technology Centre in the UK, which delivers KBR's portfolio of licensed technologies across ammonia, hydrogen, refining, and also petrochemicals. With more than 35 years of experience in management and operations across the global processes industry, Gary really brings a depth of technical knowledge and leadership expertise, from technology licensing all the way through to on-the-ground execution. Before joining KBR in 2014, he actually held multiple international leadership roles with a strong focus on both innovation and technical service delivery. Gary, thanks so much for joining us.
Georgia, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining our sofas, getting comfortable and joining for our chat. Let's start with your journey, okay? 35 years across global processes. Looking back, what first got you into chemical engineering?
35 years sounds a really long time, doesn't it? But I can assure you it's actually gone in a flash. I wish I could say I'm looking forward to the next 35, but I'm not too sure about that.
You might not want to do 35, to be honest. You might want to skip out a bit earlier.
Yeah. It was really fascinating, interesting journey. I graduated in chemical engineering. But actually I was really interested as a child in nuclear energy. I was interested in, as a young boy, nuclear bombs.
Of course.
I do remember my first presentation at school was talking about how the two types of nuclear bombs were developed and formed. And then later on, I went to a careers fair and I said, I want to be a nuclear engineer. And they said to me, well, you can't actually be a nuclear engineer until you become a chemical engineer. So I went to university and studied chemical engineering. And then I actually went from nuclear into the oil and gas business. And I joined, as they are now, ExxonMobil out of university. And that's really how I started my career.
Now, you imagine you've been far too busy to study the CVs of the world's billionaires. But if you did, what do you think they studied at university? I'll solve you the guess. It is chemical engineering. Like if you look through their CVs, it's remarkable.
Yeah.
So it does seem to be a really good foundation for going on to make lots of money. How did you find your way from chemical engineering then into processing?
Right. Yeah, it's a fascinating journey. I actually, during the course of my career, learned a lot about process engineering, about process flow schemes, about how to solve problems. And I think that whole journey and the journey now into lithium is trying to solve or create solutions for problems that the world exists. So it's quite ironic, really, that over the last 35 years working in the oil and gas industry, it's a carbon emitter and a producer of hydrocarbons, and now the process industry has got to spend the next 30 years taking that carbon out of the environment. And so it's kind of a reinvention. We've developed through the process industry, expanding our energy capabilities globally, and all the benefits that brings. But then recognizing that enough's enough, and we have to change the way that we source energy. And but the process industry has a massive role to play in that. We always need scale in the process industry, and the world needs scale. Large power plants, large data centers, and it all needs energy. And what's really fascinating now is that something like 80% of the world's decarbonization is going to come through electrification, and lithium is going to be a massive part of that electrification.
There is a nice symmetry there that you mentioned, this idea that, teams of chemical engineers were behind, the reason why the carbon dioxide is in the environment, and now you've got to sort of use teams of chemical engineers to pull it back out again. You obviously lead your teams across all sorts of different departments, innovation, licensing, operations. What would you say has been your biggest leadership lesson over the years, so far, and how has your leadership style evolved?
For me, the biggest lesson is be prepared for surprises. Be prepared for the unexpected, and ensure that your teams are structurally organized, and that they are ready for those surprises, and how you can provide guidance and direction to those teams in order to allow them to solve the inevitable problems that arise. I think that recognition that problems will always arise for whatever circumstances, whether they be mechanical or human orientated, but they will occur through any journey, whether it be through a project, whether it be through the development of new technology, whether it be setting up new companies, and how those teams react to those unexpected situations. I think that's my biggest lesson. And then it's how you guide those teams through those lessons, and ensure that that they're well prepared and that they're resourced in a way to allow them to deal with those circumstances. I think from a management perspective, that's my biggest lesson, making sure that your organization is structurally correct in order to deal with those challenges that are being faced, and to be innovative as well, to actually not fear, to actually make sure that people are prepared to push the boundaries, because whether it be in lithium development and all these new nascent technologies that are occurring, actually people have got to push boundaries, and then you've got to make sure that there's not a fear factor associated with pushing those boundaries.
I'm getting a little bit of a sense there of the type of people that you like to work with, but if you just cast your mind back, or even now, you look at the teams that you have, what is the right type of person? What face fits at your company?
Yeah, I think people that are prepared to go do things with ask for forgiveness and not for permission.
Oh wow! Yeah. Really, that
people,
innovative?
Yeah, people that are highly innovative.
Yeah.
People that are prepared to push the boundaries. Strong communicators. People that actually know when to come back and check in. People with enthusiasm. You've got to have enthusiasm, and you've also got to have a desire and an interest in the roles that you're taking on. I think they're the key factors that we look for when we hire people. They've got to be subject matter experts. They've got to be specialists. They've got to enjoy the work that they are doing. They've got to be pushing the boundaries.
Yeah, I was going to say definitely the technical know-how, because what you do with your teams is tricky. You're leading KBR's global critical minerals business. It is a very fast evolving space. There are very high expectations. What is keeping you grounded and focused while managing, those expectations?
That's a good question, George. I think within KBR, we're fortunate enough to have mature businesses that allow us to earn our money. We're certainly within our critical minerals business, we have a strong technology in mineral acids and the concentration and purification of nitric acid, sulfuric acid. And that has its own business line. Mm-hmm. What that does is allow us to have the skill sets of engineers and technicians and scientists, which we can then leverage in these areas of new technology development, like lithium. So what you have, we're fortunate to have a grounded business where we're delivering on a world-class technology basis, on an ongoing basis, but also being able to leverage those skill sets and knowledge to be able to develop new technologies. So it's fortunate that we're not a startup business, that we're actually a technology delivery, development and delivery business. And that allows us, I think, to be probably more successful in how we deliver new technology, understand the risks associated with new technology development, and how we manage those risks in a kind of a stage gate approach. Yeah.
Do you think that's what sort of differentiates you from companies that talk about being innovative versus a company that actually is innovative?
Yeah, I mean, in KBR, we have our motto is we deliver. Yeah, and that motto sets us up for understanding what the expectations of our business is. We've always got to have in sight the end goal, and that end goal is typically a process unit or a process plant that actually produces a final product that someone, the end user, wants to buy. And in the case of lithium, by producing lithium carbonate or lithium hydroxide, which the cathode active material producers want to actually purchase. So we always have an end goal of knowing what we need to deliver on behalf of our clients, and the real key to differentiating those technology providers that talk about innovation and those providers that deliver innovation is that approach to actually knowing that we have to produce an end product.
Okay, so KBR works across all sorts of different countries. You yourself are in charge of 2 different bits of the company and 2 different bits of Europe. How do you keep abreast of all of those moving parts? How do you make sure that you've got your eye on everything, basically?
Yeah, that's another really good question, and it really comes on from our motto of we deliver. We obviously operate under quite tight codes of business conduct, but aligned to that, we have our company values. Those values are: we deliver. We are people of integrity. We value our people. We're a team of teams, and we respect people. And then when you have those 5 values, which are really orientated around people, and then you apply those to the organization, that's kind of like the underpinning philosophy and approach of our business. Well, I think what's really important on our business, because we operate on a global basis, every quarter our global leads come together. We could be coming together in Houston, in London, in our offices in Delhi or in Seoul in Korea, and we all come together as a team to reflect on the quarter that's just gone by and actually understand what we need to deliver on the next quarter. So there's always, to kind of answer your question, there's always that grounding of reflection and looking forward on a quarterly basis. And then every year we come together, first week of January we come together.
Wow.
So yeah, New Year's Eve's just finished, then we come together to actually really set out our global goals and objectives in that first week of January, such that we don't miss the first half of the or first half month
first
of the
quarter.
year.
Yeah, or first month, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how we as an organization, as a global organization, allow us to function. I mean, quite interesting, we're with our sales team here this week, and, as a global organization, if you want to sell a product in China or Australia or South America, we know exactly the people in the team to go with. So it's actually a small family that operates on a global basis, even though KBR is a company of 38,000 people.
38,000?
Yeah. Within our businesses, we operate in small
teams of teams.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
I always think that the question I'm about to ask you always makes me feel like I'm, interviewing you for a job, which is far more likely to be the other way around, let's be honest, although I haven't studied chemical engineering, so I don't think you'd want me. You have had a long career, lots of milestones, lots of achievements. But has there ever been a setback? And what did you learn from it? A classic job interview question.
Yeah, no.
You'll be asking me about pay structure next.
Yeah, a really challenging time. I was running a global technology company in India, in New Delhi. I had my family in New Delhi. My kids they were young, 4 and 6 years of age. And I'd been away in Italy, and I've been running this business for 4 years in India. And I just decided enough's enough, and I wanted to have a change of scene. So I actually came back to London, and I got a job in a consulting role as an individual contributor. And I hadn't been an individual contributor for over 20 years. And what it really enabled me to do is reset myself. It enabled me to realize that actually I can learn new skills. And that I can actually reapply my knowledge and those skills to being an individual contributor again. And that is actually quite a challenge when you've been doing international management for so many years. It didn't last actually very long. It probably only lasted about 2 years, and then I actually became the global head of that business. But it was a nice reset, and it makes you realize that sometimes it's good to have that reset. It's good to be able to step back from quite a high pace of international work and actually rediscover yourself.
Quite scary though, as a dad of 2. I'm trying to think, if my husband decided to do that now, I might be a bit twitchy.
Yeah, no, exactly. Exactly. It was a big change, being away for probably 8 years internationally, and then coming back to London.
Where it rains a lot.
That's right. Yeah, and then having that reset. And then probably 4 years later, I joined KBR, and I've been with KBR now for over 11 years. And it's not a single day goes by without things being extremely different and interesting and challenging. Yeah.
Okay, so considering that expertise, considering that hindsight, if someone was about to go into a sort of major leadership role, and it's quite possible that people listening to this, might be in their landscape, there might be in their near future.
Yeah.
One piece of advice. I mean, it's a bit cruel to just ask for one.
No, I think the underpinning advice is to have respect for everybody, total respect for everybody, to ensure that respect passes down through your organizations, that everybody recognizes that they are valued within the organization for the role that they have. Once you've created that environment, then as a senior leader, let those people grow and develop. It's not now about me and my growth. It's about the growth of the organization. It's about restructuring the organization for the next generation. It's about recruiting the best people you can get, absolutely the best. Don't be scared about recruiting someone that's going to take your place. And having that level of confidence to restructure an organization and to hire, retain, and develop really strong people that can really grow the organization. And having that confidence to be able to do that.
I'm really interested by that last bit there. That idea of not being scared to promote or not being scared to hire someone who you think is as good as you potentially.
Or better than me. Absolutely.
Yeah, that shows a dedication to lifelong learning, ultimately, in many ways.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, if they come and take your role, you can go and do something different. And when you get to this level of experience, being able to restructure organizations for the future and to put the right people in the right places, I think is something really fascinating now. Yeah,
it requires deep EQ as well as IQ as well, which is so interesting when you get into these senior leadership roles.
Yeah, very much so.
Okay, so back to the conference. Final question. Yes. This is what I ask everybody. Key takeaway. When you walk away from Las Vegas this week, what do you think your key takeaway will be from this conference?
Well, first of all, I guess meeting friends and colleagues, reacquainting yourselves with people. Meeting new clients, developing those relationships, looking forward to the development of new projects and new opportunities, and to take away what the strategy is going to be for the next 12 months and understanding the environment.
Building, onwards and upwards.
Yeah, exactly, Georgia.
Building.
Yeah.
It's been a great pleasure chatting to you. Thank you for joining me on the sofas. We'd really appreciated your time. I'd really liked I found your management insights very, very interesting indeed, and I'm sure everyone who's listening has as well, so thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much to you, Georgia, and to Fastmarkets.
And thank you to everyone who's tuning in, either here live or later at home. Remember, this is just one of the whole season of Fastmarkets Live Lounge interviews. You can find them all wherever you get your podcasts, whether that's Spotify, Amazon. You can also go to Apple Podcasts. If you want to watch the full videos, then you can find those on our Fastmarkets channel on YouTube. And huge thanks, of course, to our sponsors, Aquatech, for helping us bring these episodes to you. We also have lots of social media channels. Remember, you can check those out as well for our highlights. And we'd love you to like, comment, and follow. So please do go ahead. We love to hear from you. But most of all, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening.